Squid Game Season 2 character tier list, let's go! Starting things off with the Crazy Woman. I've noticed that in Squid Game, there are a lot of, well in Season 2, there are quite a few similarities to the Season 1 characters because there was a crazy woman in Season 1, just like there is in Season 2 with her. Is she as crazy as the girl in the first season? I don't think so. But what does she really bring to the show? A bit of mysteriousness. Kind of annoying though, so I'm going to say... she might as well go on the D tier. I don't really think she has done anything to deserve to go any higher. Why is that advert always there? Go away. Alright, then we have Thanos, and he was a massive character in Season 2. Unfortunately, he did... I mean, spoilers alert, obviously. I'm going to be talking about the show. So Thanos did die. But he really brought a different perspective to Squid Game and made it a lot more fun. Even though it is a very serious situation. They're literally playing, you know, games to survive. If they fail these games, they die. Their lives are gone. And the unfortunate thing about Thanos is that he was a bully. Not quite as bad as the one in Season 1. The bully in Season 1. But he was a dickhead. Which is what brings him down a bit. And that's obviously why he died in the end, because he was just constantly grilling people like player 3, what is it, 333 that killed him with a fork. So that's kind of unfortunate. But I've got to be honest, he is an S tier character. He's going right up there because he just was that fun to watch. And I love the way he was throwing in just random English phrases, and he just seemed like he was very much having fun in there, you know. And he's been, I guess he's been kind of a fan favourite, especially on TikTok. I'm seeing all these edits of him at the merry-go-round game, just dancing around in red light, green light, pushing people over, and just like, I don't know, he's a dick, but he's also just taking things so lightly, and he's just so unserious. And yeah, it's because he's on the drugs, but I like to pretend that that's just the way he is normally. And let's be honest, he is a big part of Season 2. Without that whole, you know, fun character vibe, it would be a much more serious season. And I've heard people say that, you know, Thanos had to die because Season 3 is where it's going to get very, very serious and very sad. Because let's be honest, a lot of people did survive Season 2. Obviously the games are not done yet. Season 2 left on a massive cliffhanger. So that is why in Season 3 we are going to see some tragedies. I mean, people did die, yeah, but we didn't lose that many big characters. Thanos was a big character though, so I was sad to see him go, but he wouldn't really fit in with the vibe of Season 3 because it is going to get very serious, and he was a very goofy character, but I love that. That really spiced things up and brought something different to Season 2. Then we have, I don't even know his name, and I don't even know his player number, but I know that face, and he is the one that everyone is calling a coward, you know. He was very much bullied by Thanos and Thanos' friend, and he actually had some chances to redeem himself and didn't, which I actually kind of liked, because I thought for sure this would be like any other show or movie, and, you know, the character that has been bullied the whole time is going to finally, you know, get his chance to redeem himself. He's going to save this other player that was getting attacked, and he nearly does, and then he doesn't. He actually gets too scared last second and lets that girl die, which was crazy to see because I thought obviously he would save her, but no. And that's another reason why I love this show. It actually is one of the very few shows that is so brutal and people will die very easily. They'll even just, you know, eliminate main characters very easily, which never really happens. Like, when I watched Season 1 for the first time and I saw Ali die, getting shot in the head. Well, we didn't see him, but maybe, let's say Bayok's friend, right? Seeing her getting shot in the head in the background was just so shocking. But since that's the way Squid Game is, that's the way things go. Even in Season 2, you know, seeing Ji-hun's friend just getting shot dead in front of him when he was such a big character, it's just like, it's just fucked. And like, what other show is doing that? I guess big characters do get finished off in some shows eventually, but it's so easy for people to die here, so yeah. And I also remember people saying that since everyone pretty much died in Season 1, Season 2 would be terrible because they'll have to get a new cast. But there's so many characters here in Season 2 that I've grown to love. This guy, not really one of them. People are also saying he's like some kind of undercover VIP going in there. I don't know about that. I think it was the same actor who just played a VIP, and then also this player here in Season 2. If it is a VIP in there, then that doesn't make sense to me though, because why would a VIP want to go into the games? I don't know. I'm gonna say D. Sorry. Not only did he not, save the girl, but he also betrayed that same girl before by doing the whole rock, paper, scissors thing on her. She put her hand out to, like, help him, and then he just goes scissors, because Thanos said to do rock, paper, scissors to see who, like, joins their team in the Mingle game. And that was a big twist again. That was crazy. Big betrayal. But I guess it's a very, like, human reaction, so I don't want to blame him too much, because he doesn't really know this girl. Like, he doesn't have to risk his life to save her, but it would have been very cool to see that. Anyways, then we have the salesman. This guy was a pretty simple character in Season 1, and then Season 2 rolls around, and he is one of the most intriguing and one of the most sinister characters that we've seen. Everyone's talking about the facial expressions, and that is what was really creeping me out with this guy. The way he can manipulate his face to show all kinds of emotions very quickly was so, like, I was so gripped to the screen watching, scenes where he was there, whether it was him doing the bread or scratch card game with all them homeless people, whether it was much more serious when he was doing the Russian roulette with Ji-hun's friends, or the best part of all, when he was doing Russian roulette with Ji-hun himself and ended up losing his own game. That scene was just mind-blowing. And the fact that he did actually accept that he lost, he was very shocked that he lost, but he did pull the trigger in the end. That shows how seriously he took the games. I must say he is a pretty solid character. Like, he would not, the show would not be the same without him. So I'll say he's an A tier character for sure. Aww. Then we have player, was it 222? The pregnant one. I, just like a lot of other people, have a very, like, soft spot for her, which is kind of a bad thing, because if she dies in Season 3, I don't think we're recovering from that one. For me, she was one of the best characters of Season 2, so I'm going to put her in the S tier category, absolutely. But again, since I love this character so much, I am so scared to see what happens. But okay, so the frontman is obviously a bad guy, right? A very bad guy. But I loved his whole dynamic of going into the games himself, and I really feel like he has a soft spot for her. I believe his wife was pregnant and died in the hospital. So there has to be some kind of remorse for this poor girl, right? I feel like the frontman will spare her life. But if he ends up killing her or just letting her die in some way, that is going to be... Oh no, I can't deal with that, actually. I can't. Alright, then we have Ji-hun's friend that was playing Russian roulette with the salesman. He was the guy that won Russian roulette, I believe. And then he went on to help, John Ho? I'm sorry about these pronunciations. It's going to be so bad. I've got no experience in Korean. But, I mean, he just went to help this guy find the island. I don't really care. The whole island finding story was definitely a bit slow and boring as well. I like the way that Captain Park was actually, a traitor. That was a good twist. But I was just too invested on the actual games. So then we have the old lady. Again, okay, so her actor said in Season 3 there's going to be, it's going to be hard to watch, There's going to be tragedy. And I feel like she could be one... I don't want to say it, but I feel like she could be one of the characters here that will die in Season 3. And she's just so nice. you know? A bit crazy. Like, when that scene where she was trying to go to the bathroom, like, she seemed a bit unhinged. But she's just there with her son as well, which is insane. Just trying to get through this, trying to pay off the debt. Very strong-minded to actually, you know, stay in there for that long, and like, she definitely has her head screwed under her shoulders, you know? Not really panicking ever, so yeah, I mean, she's solid. I'll say B. I'll say B. Then we have player, is it 388, who helped them fight against the guards in the end. A very nice guy. I don't think he has anything. I mean, look at that smile. Like, he's not in any way, shape, or form bad. So I guess he's kind of like Ali in season 1. He's just a really nice guy, which means he might have the same kind of fate as Ali. That would be a pretty tragic death as well. Obviously, people did kind of turn on him, the viewers, when he bottled it at the end of the season with the whole ammo situation. Had to go in and get ammo for everyone. And I think it was just a case of him having PTSD because he was in the Marines. And he panicked, sat in the corner and just couldn't continue. I don't think people can really blame him for that. That's just a very human reaction. Kind of like this guy here. But the fact that we'll see her later on. The fact that girl died because of him. Well, not because of him, but he could have seen. Oh, I don't know, because then again, like, if I was in his situation, would I have saved her? I don't know. I really don't know. Probably not. Anyways, this dude is just a solid guy. The way he also, I'm gonna put him in. Yeah, you know what? I'll give him the A tier. I'll give him the A tier. The way he flew through that game. What is it, like Gongi or something? You know, throwing the things, catching them, and then doing the wee shh 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 achoo, and then whata! Oh, absolute machine at that. No. Okay, so I filmed reactions to Squid Game. I haven't released them yet. I think I've released one. But the episode where she dies, I was nearly in tears. I was nearly in tears. That is one of the saddest deaths. Because you know why? It's because she is just so, like, throughout the entire season, she was so scared, right? So I felt bad for her already. And she kept on saying how badly she wanted to go home. And that should have told me that she was going to die. Because no one else was really... You know, people wanted to go home, yeah, but she really, really wanted to get out of there. And then comes the mingle game. And someone, you know, runs into her. And she gets brought to the ground. And misses the chance to get in the room with everyone. And then, I think it's player 333 gets in before her. And she's left there just standing at the door, tears in her eyes. And then, when player 120 realizes the fucking fear in her eyes, like, that scene was so hard hitting. And the way she's just there, like, Uni, is it Uni? Uni, just tearing up, and then she gets shot, and you see the life just go from her. That is one of the worst deaths I've seen. You know what? It might be recency bias, but I think that was a more impactful death for me than even, like, Ali and Sabiok's friend in season 1. Like, this was just incredibly sad. This was different levels of sadness for me, personally. I can't say she was a big character, so, like, I'm not going to put her in one of the high tiers, but I mean, I think I'll put her in C, because she wasn't that big of a deal character-wise. We didn't learn much about her. We just knew that she was terrified and wanted to go home. And I think she was talking with the old lady about, you know, going back to their house and just having a nice dinner. And Squid Game is actually brutal. It is so... But we know this, and we need to expect more impactful deaths. We gotta brace for it, you know? The frontman's up next. Now, again, the whole storyline of him joining the games was absolute geniusness from the creator of this show. That was just so fun to watch. The thing is, though, is that I know he's a very bad person. He's the guy that kind of runs the show here. He's in charge of the games. But the way he was acting as a player made me believe that he was just a nice guy. But that's what he wanted us to think. You'll see in some scenes that he is literally just staring Ji-hun in the face with a dead expression. But I think a lot of people just kind of ignored that, and they saw the other parts of the frontman, like when he was celebrating with, you know, Ji-hun and everyone when that other team passed the, what is it, pentathlon games? Pentathlon? I don't know. You know, the multiplayer game. He was just looking so hyped. He was like, yeah! So it's just, he really made everyone believe that he was just a nice guy and he was a player. But then obviously the end of season 2 comes around and he just goes back instantly to that evil person that he was in season 1, shooting Ji-hun's best friend right in front of him. And a pretty nice detail throughout season 2 was that the frontman was desperate to keep Ji-hun's friend alive. He instantly grabbed him and brought him into the room of 2 people in the mingle game when he killed that guy. What a moment, by the way, when he snapped that guy's neck. I just remember, like, in particular, the frontman's eyes in that moment when he had that player choking him out. They were like so bloodshot and he just looked so evil right there. And Ji-hun's friend was like even scared shitless of him. But he wanted so badly to keep Ji-hun's friend alive so that he could kill him right in front of Ji-hun at the end of season 2 to just break Ji-hun completely. So, I mean, the frontman, literally one of the best characters for so many reasons, so many bad reasons, but he's absolutely an S tier character, absolutely. And again, I hope there is some good with him in season 3, and I hope he has a soft spot for her, but he can't really be trusted, so I'm not going to get my hopes up. Then we have this guy who is obviously connected to the guard 11, and he's got a daughter on the outside who he's trying to win money for. And then, I mean, he gets shot at the end, but we don't know for sure if he dies, right? People are saying it might have been guard 11 that shot him in a certain area that wouldn't kill him because she wants to keep him alive. As a character, though, overall, he's just a C tier, really, for me. Ji-hun is absolutely an S tier character. I mean, he's been the main guy from day one, back in season 1, back in 2021. I don't even know what to say about him because there's like so much, you know, from winning the games in season 1 to, you know, being traumatized and having this revenge mindset. To go back into the games is insanity because he could have died. And he definitely could still die. I don't really know. Like, the thing is that he went in there to try and stop the games, right? How do you do that, though? How do you actually put a... I mean, he kind of tried and he had help with some people at the end when they were just starting to go to war with the guards. But there's too many guards, you know? Like, it just seems like an impossible mission, right? But the fact that he was much more tough this time, even helped someone in red light, green light. You know, like he just showed bravery in this season, whereas in the first season, he did not help someone that was asking for it in red light, green light, and he was obviously very shook, very scared, because that was his first time experiencing something so horrific. But he's actually like, he's so tough now. So yeah. Ji-hun's friend. This guy was surprisingly tough as well. I never would have expected that. When he was there in red light, green light, I was like, oh no, this guy is obviously going to die. He's not going to be good enough for this. He's not going to expect the disaster that's about to strike here. But no, he actually helps Ji-hun, gets a gun in hand, starts shooting at the guards at the end. Very, very solid character the whole way through. A tier. Guard 11. Okay, so she's still quite mysterious. She hasn't really spoke much. Definitely going to have a bigger part to play in season 3. But it's nice to see into the life of a guard and how she was actually recruited. They made us think that she was a player, and then no, she's actually a guard, which was fantastic. Very brutal, you know, finishing people off in red light, green light, not afraid to kill. But again, she has a soft spot for, where is he? This guy right here. So I feel like there's definitely some empathy with her. And that's why she'll be more interesting in Season 3. As for her in Season 2, though, I'm going to say she's a solid, I'll say B for now. Yeah. Okay, so this guy is, I guess, the acting frontman. He's the guy in charge while the frontman goes into the games. Didn't see much of him. We saw an interaction with Guard 11, but nothing really there for me. Then we have player 120. Oh my god. Like, I think did she have experience in, was she in the Marines or something? I'm not too sure, but ever since Red Light, Green Light, she was showing that she was, you know, brave and not afraid to, I guess, be in there in these life or death situations, because in Red Light, Green Light, we didn't know anything about her. But what did she do? She helped Ji-hun bring that guy that was already shot across the finish line. No one else would have really done that, especially since, like, you know, 10 minutes ago, they thought they were just playing some silly kid game, and it's not a big deal if they lose. But then people are getting shot, people are getting killed, and then they realise that they're actually going to die if they lose. What does she do in that situation? Locks in and even helps someone get across that finish line. And then towards the end of the season, she is pretty much taking charge in the fight, talking to everyone about, you know, how to use a gun, and starts shooting at the guards. There's even a point where they're starting to lose, and the guards come into the room, and she's about to go and take them all on until the old lady stops her. She is absolutely fantastic. S-tier character again. And yo, look at this. Just remember, the people were saying after Season 1 that they wouldn't be able to have, you know, as good of characters as they did have in what am I saying? They wouldn't have good characters like they did in Season 1. But look at my tier list here. Look at all these characters that weren't in Season 1. Well, 1, 2, 3 that weren't in Season 1. The casting was amazing. The characters were amazing. This show is amazing still. It didn't just die at Season 1. And the connection she had with, what is it? Ji Young? Something like that. Was very heartwarming and heartbreaking when she obviously died right in front of 120's eyes. Yeah. I'm also very intrigued to see what happens to her in Season 3, because she is still very much up for fighting against these people, but they have lost the fight, so what's going to happen? If she dies, that's going to be very, very hard to accept as well. And I'm just thinking, like, you know, obviously in Season 1 there was one winner, right? But Squid Game this season, all the games have been shaken up massively by Ji-hun on this big fight between the players and the guards. How do the games even continue? I mean, the frontman did put a stop to the war, you could say, so things could calm down. But I don't know how they're just gonna go back to playing the rest of the games. I mean, there are hints on the walls of the room where they sleep of what games are gonna be coming up soon, like the monkey bar one, for example. So we're definitely getting more games, and we're definitely getting more deaths through the games. But I don't know how it's gonna really all play out. But she was a massive factor in that war, so would the frontman kill her even outside of the games, because she took the lives of so many guards? But then again, so did the frontman. He was here shooting his own guards to act like he was a player. That's crazy. Alright, then we have Thanos' buddy. Just gonna be down here, really. Not really a need to talk about that guy. We have the first player that was eliminated, and I know there's so much hype around her because she is so pretty, but we gotta be real with ourselves. She's not a D character, but she's gonna be a C character, you know? For the brief time that she was there, she was good, you know? She had some, like, quirky lines and stuff, and that interaction with Thanos before Red Light, Green Light was pretty cool, and her whole death was actually pretty iconic. The way there was a bee on her, she was, you know, freaking out, just like, oh shit, I moved, and then boom, that was it. Very unfortunate, because I feel like she would have been a fan favourite if she was to survive a bit longer, but it is what it is. Let's move on to the old man. There was an old man in the last season, which, you know, he was a much bigger character than this old man. I mean, this guy, he's not bad old, like, you know, but he's old enough, probably in his 60s, and he's just a... I mean, the thing is that we've seen players like Thanos, for example, that are just dicks, but still have personality, still have something about them. This guy is just a complete and utter piece of shite. He's got no backstory that we know of, apart from the fact that, like, he's in billions of debt, but he's just a dick to the rest of the players. Just literally nothing nice about him at all. And we could talk about the bully from season 1 again. He was obviously horrible, but he had so much backstory. The way he was, you know, was he a drug dealer? And he got involved with a bunch of thugs on the outside, and then he like jumped off of a bridge to avoid a bunch of them guys, made his way into the games, and then worked up this relationship which started off as like a love-hate relationship with that crazy woman, and then just became a hate relationship. So there was a lot of story there, a lot of build-up of hatred, to the point where she ended her own life and also took the life of the bully, Doc Sue, I think his name was, by, you know, just bringing him with her through the wrong glass panel on the glass stepping stone game, and that was the end of them too. This guy, though, he's just there, and he's annoying, so absolutely he is going at the bottom of the pile here. He should die in season 3. There's a very high chance he will. The fact that he's made it this far is actually, you know what, I'll give it to him. That's quite impressive. And then we have the police officer, and again, I think his name is Jun-Ho. I can see the spelling of it, you know. I think it's just Junho, but the pronunciation is probably a bit off. Junho. Now, the thing about his character is that in season 1, he had such an interesting story. I absolutely was glued to the screen when I was watching him sneak onto the ship and disguise himself as a guard. And the way he had to pretend like he knew what he was doing. He got called out a lot of times by the other guards because he was just not acting right. But seeing him in there, in disguise, was so interesting to watch. He was even disguised as one of the guys serving the VIPs. And then he got enough information on the games. He recorded some things, took notes, was sending pictures to his team back at the police station. And he managed to escape the island. But of course he was found, and the frontman, who is his brother, that's why he was there in the first place, trying to find his brother. The frontman did shoot him. He fell from some other wee island into the water, and luckily survived. I didn't even know he was going to be alive, so that was a nice surprise at the start of season 2. But in season 2, like, he's so... like, all he's doing is trying to find the island where the games are being played. There was just nothing much... there was nothing exciting about this character in season 2. But for me, what he did in season 1 is enough for him to be an S-tier character. And I'm sure he'll have a bigger part to play in season 3. He'll find the island, right? I mean, his partner, Captain Park, is a traitor, so I don't know. But, like, surely there's going to be some kind of face-off again with him and the frontman. But I don't know. I actually would have loved to see him go in as a player as well. But that would have made sense. It was right to send in Ji-hun, the experienced one. Alright, so then we have the girl who we were talking about earlier was betrayed by this guy. It wasn't like a sadistic betrayal, it was just a betrayal out of fear. So, you know, she was brave and she was taking on a lot of these guys that were just trying to kill her. But she did die in the end, and overall not a, you know, not an important character, but still had a few pretty emotional scenes, I would say, and it was sad to see her go. But I'm going to say she's in the C tier. So then we have the son of the old woman. And people are actually so pissed off with this guy because they're saying that he betrayed his mum. And I saw that people were saying that before I seen the betrayal myself. And I was like thinking, no way, he's going to have this massive betrayal and get her killed. But it wasn't like that at all. A bunch of guys in the mingle game just kind of dragged him away from his mum into a room. And he was like looking back and trying to get out, trying to break free, but he couldn't. They brought him in, locked the door, and his mum was left out needing to find a room by herself with other people. Luckily she did, so that was all good. But everyone was just looking at him in the show weird, thinking like, you know, he's wrong for that. He should have went back for his mum no matter what. But did he not just get barged into the room and then the door was locked and that was it? I really don't feel like... I don't think that was his fault. There was a point though where he did want to continue the games. And I was thinking that's a bit mad, like... You're wanting to risk your mum's life as well as your own. Like... And even in this season, they could have stopped the games and actually got a share of the money. Yeah, this guy, I don't know. He was funny to watch sometimes. Like in the pentathlon game, he was just so energetic. So, I'm going to say he's a B tier character, right? He's definitely not down here. He's a B tier, right beside his mum. Yeah, there we go. Okay, wait. Yeah, there we go. In fact, look at this now. Does she deserve to be in the B tier with these two? I don't know. She had a pretty interesting backstory, like camping out there in her car. And then she was, you know, a children's entertainer. Became a guard. Nah, she's more interesting actually. She's going in the A category. So then last but not least we have the player that we can say a few things about him. This is the guy that I think is a YouTuber. Had some big crypto scam thing going on. Probably a reference to Logan Paul, not too sure. But yeah, so I was thinking that he was a bit dodgy, but then I was like, is that really his fault? You know, guys like Thanos were saying it was his fault, but they were the ones that invested in this dodgy coin or whatever. Not too interested about that. What I am interested in is the fact that he is the father to player 222's baby. And he was kind of ignorant of her at first, but I feel like he is, you know, working his way back in there, trying to be a good father, pre-father, because he's not born yet. But he's trying, you know, he's trying to better himself. But the thing that I can't shake is that it's kind of his fault that we lost this poor girl right here. Now, look, this is a life or death situation. My guy here needed to save himself, so he saw that chance to get in there before she made it. She was pushed by someone else. You know, he didn't push her. That's something. He was just there at the right time to get in before she could get back to her feet and get in herself. So, as heartbreaking as that was, we can't blame him too much for that. And he seems to be an alright guy. Like, he's not a, you know, he's not an asshole. He's not a bad person, really. So, I'm interested in him. And I'm sure there should be some kind of emotional tragedy in season 3 between either him or her. But if we're talking about either one of these two dying, we gotta lose this guy. We've got to, but that'll still be sad. You know what I mean? But I think there is a spot for him in the B category. I think that list is pretty accurate to my thoughts and opinions on these characters. Again, this season of characters is fantastic. I never would have expected it to be this good, but it really is. The fact that we don't have Sang-woo, Ali, Sei, Bayok, I don't know what is it? It's like Sabiok? I don't know. Player 67, you know, such a big character. She's not here anymore, but even though we've lost so many of them characters, I was watching season 2 not thinking of them because we have so many great ones in the present. And there's so many characters here that, you know, is making season 3 very, very exciting. So I can't wait for that whenever it drops sometime this year. But that's it for my Squid Game Season 2 character tier list. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and leave any comments down below on what you think. Do you agree with me or do you disagree with me on some of these characters? Let me know, because I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions as well. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.